I'd like to call the Thursday, August 20th board meeting to order at Stanley T. Williams and virtual. Roll call.
Chairman Papa-Holter.
Here.
Vice Chair Candelora.
Here.
Secretary Sienna.
Here.
Janet Balsamo.
Here.
Vincent Mace.
Here.
Marcy Anafrio.
Here.
Cynthia Rice.
Here.
We salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any visitors' comments? Bruce, how would I see if someone wants to say something on the Zoom? I mean, do they have the ability to unmute themselves?
They do.
Okay.
You can unmute yourself.
Or a comment. If anybody on the Zoom would like to say anything, please write it in the chat, and then you can unmute yourself if you want to do a visitor's comment. Nothing. We don't have student representative. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 16th, 2020 Board of Education meeting as submitted.
I'll second. Discussion.
I just have one correction. So it says that I was present via Zoom and I was actually in person last month. It's not a big deal, but.
Well, no, we'll correct it.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 16th, 2020 Board of Education meeting as amended.
Second.
Okay. Let's do a roll call vote. I'm pretty sure everyone's here, but I just want to make sure. Sure. If anyone needs to abstain.
Chairman Papa-Holter.
Yes.
Vice Chair Candelora.
Yes.
Secretary Sienna.
Yes.
Janet Balsamo.
Yes.
Vincent Mace.
Yes.
Marcy Anafrio.
Yes.
Cynthia Rice.
Yes.
Chairman Holzer, before we move on, can I make a motion to amend the agenda under personnel to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue?
Yep.
Do we need a second?
Somebody?
Second?
Any discussion over that? All in favor?
Aye.
So we're going to leave the resignations, appointments are going in another area, leaves. All right, Scott, you're up.
That was fast.
I know.
Okay, I'm going to segue over to Ms. Vaughn, and we're going to go right to, we have nothing under letters A through E, so we're going to go to the finance report.
Okay, well, that was quick. So either you have an electronic copy of the finance report, or I handed you one out at your spot tonight. So just to, there was a question asked last month about where we were in the discussion with the town finance department and the new financial system. The talks continue today. We had a conference call with Tyler Technologies, and we discussed Infinite Visions, and hopefully they will have a price quote to both the board and the town for hopefully by tomorrow afternoon. So we look forward to receiving that.
That was the software package that you both separately and independently wanted.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So in front of you, you have actually two financial reports, one for the 1920 year that just ended, and one for the 2021 year that we just started. So we're going to take a look at the 1920 first. As you know, even though the year is officially over, the remaining balance will continue to fluctuate. I anticipate that the balance will actually grow as the invoices come in and purchase orders are closed out. So that as we go through, POs will be closed out, the funds will be returned to the line. In some cases, items are no longer available, or an estimated price will come in cheaper than what was actually estimated, or the freight will be less,
Martha, they
so.
can't hear you on the Zoom, so everyone on the Zoom is pretty much blasting me because they can only hear me and they can't hear the rest
Should I
of
take
the
this off?
meeting. That might help,
Okay.
but I also think if people are speaking and giving a presentation, they should sit here and I'll move. unless I
Or
push
sit
the
in
button,
front if you
Or sit
wanna
in front of me so
roll
that
your
the
seat
mic
over.
can pick up the content.
sure.
Yeah, because it's going to be difficult. I'm trying to help answer questions, but I'm not going to be able to.
You okay with this here?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm going to have you do a test talk and
Okay.
then have somebody write back to me.
Okay. Test? Can you hear
Can you
me?
guys hear?
A board member should be able to just speak back to you.
Cindy, can you hear?
Test? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right, sorry about that. As I mentioned before, we did have a conference call today, myself and Anthony Esposito and Anita from the finance office of the town. And we had a discussion with a representative from Tyler Technologies, and that was in regard to the new financial software that both departments are looking at, which is called Infinite Visions. And we are hopeful that we will receive a quote for both the board and the town by tomorrow. So we're looking forward to receiving that. In front of you, you should have two financial reports, one for 1920, the year that just ended, and one for 2021, the year that we just started. So even though 1920 is officially closed, the work continues on receiving orders and paying invoices and closing out purchase orders. So with that activity still happening, it is very likely, and actually it will, the balance will change from what it currently is at $27,286. I anticipate that that will increase as we go through all of the open purchase orders and close out things that are no longer needed or are not coming in. So we will continue to work on that. All of our POs need to be closed out by October 1st. So we're hopeful that by this time next month, we'll be in a much better position and closer to that goal. Another part of the 1920 work is the EFS report. Many years ago, that used to be called the EDO01, and it is a state report that takes all of the expenditures for the district and reports to the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut then disperses that information off to the federal government, and that's one of the ways that they come up with all of the grants and other things. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where they come up with the statistics is the word I'm looking for education. So they actually get information from all the districts in not only the state of Connecticut, but throughout the country. And through that information, they base their federal statistics off of that. And then, of course, the state uses it for their information, and it is also something that we are audited on. So that report is due September 1st. I am working on that. And the 2021 budget. So hopefully, with all of the changes that we're making with account numbers and transparency, you will begin to see hopefully some changes in this report. Hopefully you will be able to tell more easily what things are. It's my intention to, once I clean up the report just a little bit more, it's my intention to actually give you a complete detail report so that you can see all of the account numbers that I see and not just a summary. And that will probably provide you with a lot of useful information that you've never seen before. We are currently working on encumbering all of the blanket purchase orders. Blankets are the things that we will use every month. So electricity, oil, natural gas, water, we'll soon start to encumber for things like transportation, and then we will also do the salaries. So as the weeks go on, we will begin to encumber all this information, and then we'll actually start to take a look out to June 30th. It's never too early to start looking at June 30th. It's critical for planning and to know where we are as the administrators make the decisions. And we are still working on transferring our grants over to Alio, which is our current financial system. They're currently in QuickBooks, and we've been working to get them transferred over into Alio so that it follows the same process as our regular general fund transactions, and it will also enable us to do better reports and be better prepared for the auditors when they come and they're looking for financial statements. Once I have that complete, I will also share that with you. So hopefully it will become a regular monthly piece of the report that you'll see.
What is your target date to get that done?
We are working on it. Hopefully I'll have something for you by next month.
September. Okay. Is there any update on the financial system between the town and the?
So we had a discussion today.
Okay.
With the town finance department and myself with Tyler Technologies.
Oh, that was the beginning.
And
Okay,
we're
sorry.
waiting for the quote for both the town and the board side.
Okay. And how will that be split as far as funding? I know we talked about it in capital, I believe, right?
Yes, we have money in capital, and the school's price is actually based on student enrollment.
Okay.
I'm not sure how they quote the price for the town side.
Okay, do they do it with current enrollment or anticipated enrollment over a trend?
They weren't that specific, so I'll have to ask that question
Okay.
once we get the quote.
And the last kind of follow-up item that I had was, last month we suggested that there be a meeting between Mike Paulus and the Board of Education to help stay consistent with communication, and I was just wondering if you've scheduled anything with him so that there's regular communication.
We
on
haven't
that.
scheduled anything officially, but we did work very closely with the town to get the boiler bid out.
Okay.
That needs to be repaired, and they provided me with a template and gave me a lot of the guidance that I was looking for.
Okay.
So that was a good first step.
And I know we're kind of in the middle of COVID go back to school, and you're still wrapping up the fiscal year, but is there going to be a review of the policy and procedure manual between you and the town, since we're kind of moving things and we have old policies and procedures in place?
Do you mean as far as?
How things work, like where the misunderstanding happened with the boiler? So is anyone doing a procedure review to make sure that they're up to date and they're functioning properly?
I haven't seen any official procedures between the town and the board, so I try very hard to keep communication open with Anita and Anthony at the town, and then put things in place such as monthly reconciliations. We've started to do that where that was never in place before.
I'm gonna guess somewhere there's a procedure manual. It's probably still on paper, and I bet it's not electronic. I would ask to try to find it so you can update it, and then we can put an electronic version together that can be updated easily. And that way, as we move to collaborating with each other, you have it at your fingertips, especially like as you're working through things like the boiler and central purchasing. You have it now, so we might as well like house it somewhere. Just a thought.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions or? No? Okay.
Your wage increase changes and all that.
Did you want me to do that now?
Where do you have that under? Where's that later in the report? Is it?
I thought it was.
Okay. All right, and we're gonna need a motion for the carryover of our 2% fund, so that's part of Martha's.
Sure, I'll make a
Presentation.
motion. Why don't you just, after I make a motion, just say who
I will.
made it and
I
second
will.
it for them?
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve a carryover of 2%, $643,715 from the 2019-2020 to the 2020-2021 budget.
Second?
A motion was just made to approve a carryover of 2%, $643,715 from 2019, 2020 to 2020, 2021. Marcia Nofrio made the motion, and Jana Balsamo seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, I have a question. What is the reason for it, that's all?
It was the carryover, Vince, that we had in the budget.
Under new state statute, we're allowed to carry over 2%.
Do you remember the specific reasoning, Scott? I do, but it's like
So-
leaving my mind.
So
Sorry.
we carried the 2% because we obviously had closed on March 13th and we had monies that were left over. So as part of the budget process, in discussion, when that statute was passed, we made the recommendation to the council to approve our budget using that new statute, which gave us the ability to carry over 2%, up to 2%. So that equated to the 640,000. That then was offset with an additional 250,000 that was awarded to us, which gave us our increase for the 2021 year.
And how does the 2% affect the budget from the town council to us? Or is there, how does it affect that all?
It's Board of Education monies. It was monies from this past school year that were in excess due to the school closure, so then towns were given the ability to carry it forward. So the council supported our Board of Ed recommendation to use that to offset this year, and then we were given an excess of $250,000.
All right, Mr. Chairman, Scott, thank you very much for reaching out. We have to resupply.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Can you repeat that, Vince? You kind of were muffled.
Madam Chairperson and Scott, thank you very, very much. Now we have an explanation so we understand why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I want to make sure we understand why we're doing this. That's
Yeah,
all.
awesome, thank you.
Thumbs up.
He can't see you, yeah.
He can't
All
see
right,
you.
so
Okay.
can we have a roll call vote on that, Mary?
Chairman Papa Holster?
Yes.
Vice Chair Candelora?
Yes.
Secretary Sienna?
Yes.
Janet Balsamo?
Yes.
Vincent Mace?
Yes.
Marcia Nafrio?
Yes.
Cynthia Rice?
Yes.
All right. Moving on.
Okay.
Tracy?
So moving on, so the next part, obviously on the agenda is our reopening plan, and before we segue over, there'll be some comments and an overview of this process. We have had two opportunities to have town hall meetings where it was live through Facebook, and we had a real strong turnout of people watching, and we allowed for questions to be sent in prior to the meeting and then during the meeting. So we were very fortunate to get the pulse of many people over two separate meeting dates. And I think after the second meeting, a lot more information was put out to the public, and I think it put a lot of people more at ease. I mean, there's so much emotion right now with everything that's going on with COVID and schools going back, and you see it on the news, you see it in public, you hear it from people, and I want to recognize my administrative team, the efforts to get to where we are right now from March 13th closing date to 2 weeks prior to the start of the school is nothing shy of amazing. We continue to use the state metrics, so there's two different data sets that we're looking at. We're looking at the one from the CDC and from the state of Connecticut for both primary and our secondary indicators, the first being the percentage test positivity, the number of new hospitalizations, symptoms similar to COVID and influenza, and our mitigation strategies. Our mitigation strategies are things that are happening in the schools. We are checking all of the indicators daily from the state. We get a weekly update, and we go on a 7-day stretch to look at these percentiles. Right now, we are well below the number that is used for New Haven County. So not only North Branford, but Connecticut is doing extremely well right now with fighting COVID and taking necessary actions. We also are looking at the mitigation piece to that. That's distancing, mask wearing, cohorting, and hygiene specific to the schools. So all 4 buildings have been transformed, and having the ability to get to see them over time and what's been done since March is I think amazing. They're striped. There's one-way hallways. There's no-touch cleaning station. There's water fountains that now are no-touch. They're for bottles only. There's air conditioning in every single room in the district. 20 air conditioners were installed at the high school, 15 at Tutucket Valley. We have central in the other 2 areas. Ultraviolet lighting was put in at NBIS. So we've done a great deal to work on ventilation. Our air circulation in the high school and the middle school, doors will be left open during teaching times. The overhead units will be run, windows and air conditioners, or whatever the teacher chooses based upon the outside air temperature, will be open. So we really get a great deal of ventilation and circulation throughout the day. We've looked at our class sizes, our numbers. We've adjusted our class sizes based on the parent surveys. We're pushing over 85% coming back right now, and we think that's going to get closer to 90% coming back. After our second meeting, we've had 7 parents of NBIS students change and say that they're going to be coming back full day live instruction with us.
I just wanted to add statewide for numbers, 55% of schools are going back
back
full-time in person, 44% are going back hybrid, and 1% is going back distance learning only. And the one that I know of is New Haven. I don't know what the other ones are, but I thought those statistics might help parents put things in perspective, knowing
This has been fluid. So districts were waiting and tabulating and seeing, and that number has Madam Chair said, has increased with the percentile going to greater than half to 55%.
Another point I just want to make, because I know that parents are worried, is if a child tests positive for COVID, the governor is going to be giving guidance shortly on that. There's no defined guidance right yet. I believe it's by the end of next week when I was doing my reading on that. So we will keep you all updated on that. But what it looked like is if a 3rd grade class has COVID, your whole district is not shutting down. But we will have detailed information on that. I just know that's at the top tip of everybody's tongue to want to know. So we will address that as soon as we have additional information on that.
So similar to that, we're meeting with the health department. There's a conference call on everything on tracing and working with our nursing staff for contact tracing, and there's a whole protocol that we'll have in place. And as was mentioned, if one student in 3rd grade, we certainly would take considerable precautionary measures and do all contact tracing, but that would not mean that a school or a district would shut down because of that. So there'll be checkpoints and data points that we'll be following, and those are all being established now.
I have a question.
Yes.
Scott, you said that class sizes are adjusted. Could you just explain how the class sizes are adjusted?
Mary?
Yes.
We have 5% going back.
Yes. So as I mentioned, we're topping 85% that are returning. So we are now confirming those that have replied back to us that they were going to be keeping their children home and using our remote access. So what we're doing is we're reducing those numbers per grade. And so if 17 students are not coming back to 3rd grade, the sections that we have in each class, if it's 6 sections, we're reducing 3 from each class. We're taking 3 desks out, so we're minimizing our class sizes down from that 18 down to like 15. So our numbers right now, and this was the first run through with our data points, we closed down our SurveyMonkey Monday night at midnight, and we're over 1,000 responses. So we're continuing to, can you hear me? We're continuing to monitor and adjust with our administrative team per grade, per number of students that are accessing remote learning, and we adjust. So we want to balance class sizes to make sure, that obviously there's equity in each one and spacing.
So that was my concern. As we're reducing the class size, our social distancing comes more into place in, so that we're able to, have the kids, the least amount of children in the classroom, we're social distancing much better, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay.
The one grade that I'm looking at right now is grade 3. Our grade 3 wing at Tutucket Valley is the smallest square footage area per classroom in the district. So we have been working, Ms. Wooten and I have been working with grant writing for a one-year potential position once this plays out over the next week. And if we do have to add a 3rd grade, we do have a classroom to put the 3rd grade class. We would bring in a person for 1 year to offset that. So those numbers will go down. We've been through every building and we have spaced our seating and our seating plans, and we're in very good shape right now.
So the 3rd grade is the problem grade right now.
The 3rd grade is one that, because of the class space capacity, is the one that we're focusing on. We're very comfortable with every other grade, and there's been adjustments made. Obviously, we're eating in the classrooms at the lower levels, K8, the high school. We've set up 3 separate eating areas. The cafeteria has been converted to 2 students per 8-foot table at opposite ends. The gymnasium has a seating capacity for 56 students on tables that are there. And then the other half of the gymnasium is a multi-purpose area if we have to have phys ed inside. But we also have the ability to do live streaming and a large classroom in there. We have 3 classrooms right now with over 22 or 3 students at the high school that we could move into a gymnasium with short notice. So we're really working diligently to make sure we have spaces to go to. We also have 12 tents that will be set up on September 1st, 3 outdoor classrooms at every building. So we're going to afford us the opportunity. We worked with Town Hall to pick up 36 really they're not brand new, but new chairs from our library. And Mr. Chody and Mr. Steffler are driving to get them tomorrow. So we'll have the ability with 36 chairs to set up at 6-foot distance 2 separate outdoor teaching areas as well.
All right, so that lunches can be brown bagging?
Yes, so Michael Auger is following all state guidelines for food preparation and delivery to classrooms. So students who elect to have lunch delivered to their classroom, there's no money exchange. It's going to be a card usage prepayment onto their system. We will take the number and we will then charge accounts accordingly. So there'll be no money exchange. They'll be wheeled into the classroom, delivered to the students. Upon completion of eating, all of the garbage will be collected and then taken out during the day.
And what about recess at North Harrison, Tutucket Valley? How are recesses to be addressed?
So recess will look a little different. We will be getting the children out a number of times during the day. There will be activities, but they'll look different. I know that Dr. Welch is here and Ms. Parker, if you want to speak to recess.
Sure.
Do you want to stand over here? Or you can sit? I'll stand. That's fine.
At Tutucket Valley, students will remain in their cohorts for recess, so they'll have a recess period every day, but they will not mix with other students. We have large enough areas, we're fortunate to have them, where if there's more than one group out there at a time, they'll have separate areas that are well distanced. If kids are playing together in close proximity, they will continue to use masks. If they're not and they're spaced out in the fields and far away, then they will not have to wear masks. Also, in between recesses, we'll use the sanitizer position to wipe down and sanitize any high-touch areas that might be out there in the field, as well as any shared equipment that might be used. But we're really looking to reduce a lot of those materials and play more individual or small group games. But we feel it's really important to get kids outside still and enjoy that fresh air after having masks on all day.
Carter, thank you very much. I'd like to comment.
Sure, no problem. Thanks, Vince.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
They're so random, but well, one is really random. Are there no? You're so not off the hook. What are we doing about social services and social work and mental health?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of issues that are going to bubble up. You could already see changes in kids' behavior from not being in school for such a long time, and the anxiety of going back and not seeing your friends and not really being able to play with them, or having lunch and not being able to sit near your friend or talk or communicate or socialize, and having your face covered all day. And not just because it's a mask, but because you can't see expression and smile. And yeah, like I could tell you all the right? Like I mean, I'm appalled by what we're doing to children, but that's my own personal point of view. But how are we? Yeah. So
I'd
just
answer
my
that-
real question
I'd answer
without my
that
emotion.
twofold. So step one to that would be a whole school approach to social emotional learning that's really built heavily into every classroom. So in our school, and I think it's similar at the other, at Beth's school in elementary, they'll be having a morning meeting structure, like an advisory structure. Every day it will be focused on recognizing emotions, processing emotions, building classroom community and trust, and talking about those things that you mentioned. For the kids that need extra support, we still have obviously our school psychologists, our social workers, who will continue to meet with students in small groups, again from the same cohort, or individually counseling with their, in their own offices where kids have privacy. But it's a whole school approach where we recognize that kids are going to come back in a variety of ways with a variety of needs, and we'll be there ready to address it with planned curriculum approaches, but also with just that tender, caring approach to meet their needs and where they are.
And are teachers being trained to identify depression, suicide, increased substance abuse, increased alcohol use, especially in the middle school and high school?
I think that's part of all of our training in the aspect of social emotional learning and the climate efforts. But I think the other thing that a lot of our staff are doing across the district is taking part in Yale's ruler approach that they put out. Mark Brackett has put out free training to all educators.
Oh, great.
So that's something that a lot of staff are accessing. That includes a lot of that emotional awareness and recognizing trauma in kids. So the more staff that we can get and spread that out, kind of train the trainer model, will absolutely help recognize those across the board.
And we have a large number attending
Oh, that's
this
great.
workshop.
Now, my last question is so easy.
That's two.
Are there going to be hot lunches?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Someone asked me that.
So
if it was
it's
just going
not
to be
just gonna
cold
be
or
brown
that was so
bags.
easy. I should have led with that one.
Yeah, so we do know, part of
I'll be quiet.
I'll bring you back.
Sorry about
We
that.
are going to be offering hot lunches. We know a lot of the students prefer the fan favorite, so we're working on a system of boxing warm lunches, getting them up to the third floor at the middle school, second floor. Well, it would just be the middle school at the second floor. High school's getting each bed out, so yes, we are going to have hot
I
lunches.
have another lunch. So I know a lot of get free lunch, reduced lunch.
Yes.
But at this time, there's a lot of people that are struggling, so.
Hang on, everyone's not going to be able to hear you, so let me repeat what you're saying. So Beth Sienna is asking a question about free and reduced lunches, and she's saying that in this time where other people are struggling.
So the question is, obviously you're gonna have the parents send the money and the kids use it. What about the the family that might be struggling, not have money? They're gonna get a lunch of some sort, right? And then reconcile it later, or?
Yeah, so that's a great question. If
Can
you're
you
not.
just repeat the end of it?
So the tail part of the question was if parents, obviously with everything going on, are struggling that don't qualify free and reduced lunch, will there be assistance by the district, and how would that happen? So this summer we have been feeding upwards of 300 students on any given day, and the feedback has been overwhelming with one, our ability to do and to reach out and help families. We've had conversations as we get into the year, and we can poll in a very discreet way if people would like us to continue with this and be able to continue to assist with what we've been doing. I think the government, there's a great deal of money that's been injected into the state of Connecticut, and this would certainly be something that we would be tallying and looking for reimbursement on, because we really believe in it. Because it takes a lot of stress and a lot of pressure off families if they know that their children are eating a healthy meal and they don't have to worry about the cost each day.
And also to consider the student in the classroom, that they're only with their cohorts, so they have to somehow say that they don't have lunch money or they need a lunch or something without being embarrassed.
It'll all be done prior to, so even with any free and reduced student, when the lunches come in, they're passed out and no one knows. And we have many kids who participate in our lunch program, So you really,
So the teacher would notice if a kid didn't have a lunch and make sure they were fed? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's going to be a whole new look with how we serve food and how we handle this, and they'll be certainly privy. But no, if there's a family in need, we will take care of that family. Absolutely.
Okay, there's a question on here. Are there going to be limits on the high school students changing classes, especially with contact tracing?
So we're continuing with a 4x4 schedule, and with high school, that's the greatest challenge. So we are removing our flex period to eliminate one of the commingling or crossing of students. So based upon where you're at in the level that you're at, over 2 days, you'll be moving to your up to potentially 7 different classes with who you would. We're going to stagger dismissal times during the day, so kids will not be in the hallway at the same time. So the high school administrators have been working on what that would look like. We have one-way hallways, one-way stairwells, so we're really looking to alleviate as much of the hall traffic as possible. It's virtually, just made up a new word, virtually impossible with our student schedules and their leveling to totally cohort.
When a teacher does not show up for class, they were sent to study hall. Where will the high school students be if there is no class? Will they still go?
School. If we have a teacher who's out,
Well, they're going to be covered by a sub.
They're going to have a sub.
Well, when we should have subs to that. When we don't have a sub, that will identify that ahead of time when teachers don't.
Okay.
We can have a space.
Okay.
It's going to be supervised. We don't want students finding that out as they arrive at the door and then they're walking to a whole other direction during that, so we need to get out of that.
So Mr. Woods was saying that a sub would be identified. If a sub could not be found, there will be a designated location for that students that they would be informed of. They won't be roaming the halls or put in another cohort, basically.
so we are adding student interns from our neighboring colleges, and they will go through an intense screening process to be able to work with us. So on top of substitute teachers, we are going to have interns and student teachers with us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be moved throughout the building based on need.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any questions? I don't know what more we would say. I know there were a number of questions about remote learning. If Ms. Wooten wants to speak to remote learning, or...
Hang on one second. How can 15 students in a class be socially distanced when the classrooms are so small?
I don't know what level. There's only one grade that we are concerned about, but in the other buildings, they have marked out and looked at every scenario for classroom arrangement. They have removed all of the file cabinets, tables from all classrooms. We've set up staging areas in every building, so a teacher at Tutucket Valley will go to a staging area, get their materials for the day, and then go into the classroom, because no longer will there be file cabinets, book cabinets, and things of that nature. So we've maximized everything. The classroom, they look very different, and they will until we get through this hump. And they've measured, we've walked desk to desks. As we've said before, the recommendation is 6 feet. We're doing our best to get to 6 feet. It's not a requirement. They're saying 3 feet, and we've been able to do at least 3 feet in every building.
So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 6 feet, you don't have to wear a mask. 3 feet, you do have to wear a mask.
Well, everyone is in a mask.
Everyone's in a
No
mask,
matter
whether
what.
you're 3 feet or
No,
6
no,
feet.
no.
3 feet is the recommendation.
Right.
6 feet is
Ideal if you
ideal.
can.
Got it. Okay.
Because they're looking at projectile through a sneeze or a cough being up to 6 feet. But they're saying with a mask on and everyone being in a mask, that 3 feet is appropriate.
Okay.
We are having 3 as the minimum, trying to get to the 6.
Okay, perfect. And I know you're speaking in will as if not done yet, but I know the high school is done, because there were people walking through it, and somebody called me actually and said how clean the high school looked and how great it actually looked. So and for the current situation,
just speak to.
I mean, as good as it could be.
Let me just speak to all the buildings. They're finishing up their cleaning process now, and we had our summer help and our custodial teams team cleaning this summer, so we took all custodians and moved them into one building at a time, and that worked quite well. So as we continue and finish off this week, we then will go back to our home base for custodians, and they will start doing all of the assembly requirements for other parts of it. So, thank you for the compliment, whoever said it.
I have a question.
She didn't see you raise your hand. You didn't. Go ahead, Vince.
In the summer grade, kindergarten through grade 5, the students being 5 years old and older, are the teachers prepared? How are they going to deal with when they can't keep their masks on and they're within the distance or social distancing? How's that going to be handled so that parents understand that the children are going to be in a safe environment when they're in a classroom? And as you well know, very difficult with kids 5, 6, 7 years old. I don't listen to everything you want to do. How's that going to be handled? Do you have a response?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for our youngest of students all the way up through our seniors. Obviously, they'll be well versed in what we were talking about earlier for getting students back on track if the mask comes off. I mean, it's not going to be a punitive thing or anything like that. It's just going to be something with repetition and working and really getting the mindset that you have to have that mask on at all times. So these are the challenges that every teacher is going to face with the youngest of students coming back. It's no different. There's no magic wand or anything that we're going to wave, but we're going to just be consistent and repetitive and work with our families to support what we're doing. I don't know if the elementary people want to, videos have been made. We've done a lot of different things.
That's actually a question. North Branford High School sent out a slideshow and is going to be posting a video. Are all the schools going to be doing that?
Yes, all schools will be doing that. It's already been done at Jerome, and the middle school is just about finished with their video. That will be coming. I know the high school is working with Mr. DeLizio. That will be finished, and I know that Tutucket is completing Monday. So yes, every school will be. The other 3 schools will be sending them.
I have one more question. Sorry, it's easier for me to do it this way than visitors and guests because I'll lose the question.
Yeah.
So I apologize for doing things a little bit out of order. Will there be flexibility with getting to class within a reasonable time due to the one-ways for the safety? Anxiety to be late for class, will there be some flexibility?
We've increased the passing periods by 2 minutes.
At the high school today, we increased passing time by 2 minutes, so it'll be 7 minutes total.
Okay.
There'll absolutely be flexibility. At the beginning of the day arrivals, with all the buildings, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more traffic, so there's going to be flexibility there, and in class in a reasonable time, of course.
So there's a total of 7 minutes for passing,
It's
and there will be,
increased by 2 minutes.
so it was increased by 2, and there'll be flexibility. And is there a specific kind of mask kids need to wear?
The approved masks by the CDC, including gaiters, will be accepted until we are told otherwise. So any approved mask, the ones that are not approved are the ones with the filters on the side, but any other mask.
What are the ones with the filters on the circle?
They have circle filters.
changing.
Those are not approved by the CDC. So if you want to hold,
Well,
no. So
these are not, okay.
those are approved.
These are approved.
So if you hold that up,
This is,
They have like a plastic circle
And-
on
you
them.
can touch my
You see them
mask.
sometimes.
I want to
Definitely
touch
not
it.
COVID.
Here, put
Okay.
it on your name tag and hold it up. So we also have,
I don't care
I also, 2,000 masks were given to our schools. Each school has 500 cloth masks. So we have enough masks in the district to give to every student in the school district. So any child who has a question or a concern or does not have a mask will be giving a washable mask when needed. Yes,
Okay, a couple of things. I did watch Beth's program.
it was awesome.
It was, and yeah, but it also, because I watched my grandson, and it kind of alleviated what was a fear within him, what was going to happen. And I know it was suggested that the other schools did it, so I'm glad that's happening, because I think
knowing what's going to happen
Sure.
is better. The other thing is, I thought you said at one point you ordered like the
Shields.
clear, yes. So like to answer kind of Vincent's, if the teacher was wearing that, she could teach, they could see, and there would be a barrier.
So 300 masks have been delivered. Every teacher in the district will have a shield, a clear shield. And my preference would be for the teacher with distancing to keep the clear shield. And that way the students can see their face. It's less intimidating, especially for our youngsters, and to have that. So yes, every teacher will be given a clear mask.
And are there any
That would
logo,
be the barrier too. If
Yes.
they took the mask down, they still have something.
Right.
are there any logos that are prohibited, or like masks with logos, are those okay as long as they're
And anything
appropriate?
that is in our dress code for shirts
Okay,
that is not allowed would be the same for a mask.
Okay.
So you can use that as your guiding point.
okay.
I have a question about the survey. So we answered the survey, are you gonna go to school, you're not gonna go to school, the bus, are you taking the bus or not taking the bus? Was that written in stone?
So we're
When is, like, when
we're
do we
very
have to
flexible
say?
with transportation. So
Okay.
right now, about 50% of the parents responded that they would not be accessing the bus. But if parents change their mind on short, it's easy to accommodate. We're doing
Okay.
practice runs of the full routes next week. So the phone call would go to DAPCO, the next day the bus would be at the child's house. So we're able to accommodate anyone who wants to get back.
So a parent would call DACO, a parent would call the school?
Would call the school,
Okay.
and then the school would call DATCO,
So you call the office,
Right, the main
basically,
office.
depending on which school your
Right.
child goes to.
and then DATCO is notified, and then it's.
I ask for personal reasons because my son keeps changing his mind. so-
No, and listen, there's gonna,
Frankly.
just so parents know that there's gonna be a lot of changes. This is fluid, and for parents as well, and we are gonna accommodate as best we possibly can with transportation. If parents are remote and wanna come back live, full 5 days, we ask that you give us at least a couple days' notice, and then we're gonna get the classroom set and get that student acclimated to get them in. We know where everyone is at emotionally with this, and there's a lot of stress in everyone dealing with this, but we want to be here to support and help you.
Can kids wear shields, or do they have to wear?
Can
No.
kids wear shields? The
No, there's-
face mask is the requirement.
Okay, so kids cannot wear shields, they have to wear a face mask.
Correct. And the shield with the teacher is with the 6 feet separation. So that's a key point that people understand, that if they're going near students within 3 feet, they will have a face mask and their shield on as well. So when they're teaching from the front, they're going to keep separation and teach. As they approach a student, they're going to be covered with shield and mask.
And did the time for school change?
The times have not changed.
They have not changed, right?
No.
We just are starting on September 8th now.
They are half
Yeah.
days, those 4 days. Those 4 days are just going to be acclimating students back in. It's going to be a lot of social, emotional well-being, welcoming back, sitting, distance conversations, and then that second week we'll start getting more involved with the teaching and learning piece. And I have to say, the social, emotional piece is going to go on continuously. It's not going to be.
It's gonna go on until adulthood, actually.
It's going to be a long, right.
All right, how about we move on to the superintendent's authority to hire?
Okay, is everyone's comfortable with the school questions? Yep. Okay, all right. Remote, or do you want any remote? I mean,
Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Tracy.
Things.
Remote learning.
Just a few things. One is that, so related to Jana's question is that, can they hear me or should I move over?
Can everyone
I'm
hear
usually pretty
Tracy? Can
loud.
someone just reply to me? Yes, if you could hear Tracy speaking? Vince, were you able to hear Tracy when she was speaking?
Echo.
It echoed. Yeah.
do you want the chair? I'm not going to stand up next to you. I'm not going to scare you.
Okay.
So in terms of the surveys, we do have, the surveys are closed. I left them open a little longer than midnight on Monday, just to accommodate after the virtual town hall. Some people I knew were waiting. That also is a reason every parent that was in Power School and had their email address in Power School was emailed a copy of the plan, as were all teachers. A copy of that plan will be available on the website. It was purposely not put on yet so that any clarifications that were made during town halls or otherwise can be adapted into that plan. So when it goes up online, it will be the newest version. But so anyone who replied that their students would not be returning will now be contacted by their school buildings, whether it be principal or another designee, and they will then have to go to Power School to fill out an official type of document that will let us know what their students are doing. So at that point, if parents have changed their mind, they can definitely indicate that on that form, whether they want their students to go back or not. We'll also put other questions on there that will allow them to modify their responses to the survey. We've only received, well, it's a good turnout, but we received approximately 1,100 responses for students. So that means about 500, 600 were not accounted for. I assume that those are students that are returning. I would think parents would make it the effort to fill out that survey if their students were not returning. So if that was not the case, they need to get a hold of their buildings or central office to let us know that. What that will do is, assuming a majority of those students are coming back just as they are in the responses that we've received, our numbers will change. I anticipate there being a 90% return to schools. We have a 96% return, or teachers saying that they are returning to school. So we will have, that will change what remote looks like. Many of the parents were asking about remote learning. Obviously, the remote learning is a product of how many students are at home and what we're doing. The idea is that we will be live streaming from at least one classroom in each grade level from K-5. We will provide that teacher that is mutually agreed upon with a smaller caseload. So while we're looking to reduce everyone's caseload a little so that there's enough space in each classroom, we will make sure that the person that's live streaming and responsible for students is accommodated for. Those students will also more than likely have an additional support that they can access, but not an individual teacher assigned to just them. So that's part of it. We also we're asking people to make a 30-day commitment with 3 days notice to return so that we can make sure those human resources are allocated correctly.
Scott said you applied for a grant.
I did.
A one-year position, but when might you get that? Because if all of a sudden these kids come back, then we won't have the social distancing. You're going to have to come up with a one-year teacher.
So I should hear very quickly about the grant, whether or not it was approved. We may look, as long as it's agreed upon, we may look to put an anticipated posting. We have hired elementary school teachers this summer, so we do have a pool to look to. So it should not be a lengthy process in terms of hiring.
We'll know more this week, this week is over. Next week, midweek, the luxury of starting September 8th is that we do have 2 full weeks, and then obviously after the holiday. So this is going to be happening real quick.
So if you are able to get some one-year teachers and reduce the class size, then there might be some juggling within the cohort for the kids.
Yes.
We have to balance it. You know?
Placements are fluid.
Coming back with that for each grade level, that wouldn't make up one grade, right?
So
You'd have
however
to
many
pull some
come,
kids.
we pluck, move. You know, they'd stay in the cohort, but then as they come back, we'd add one student,
Right.
one student.
As the chairperson, I couldn't hear them in the background. Were they addressing substitute teaching?
They were addressing kids that were going to come back, and how they would be put in each class, so they would be distributed through. And also they were talking about getting one-year teachers to reduce class sizes and how that would work.
Can they address substitute teaching when teachers are out as there's a COVID, that something in the classroom and the teacher has to go up 14 days or whatever? How we just
Student teachers, we upped our.
So Vince, honestly, just the teacher having COVID, all of that's coming out next week. That's not been addressed yet. So once the state identifies how that's going to be handled, that will be rolled out to the school. There was a press conference today, and they were saying that that's going to be addressed next week.
So there are initial protocols that are out from the state of Connecticut. They are updating them, and
Yeah.
we as a district will follow the state protocols.
And we'll make sure that everybody is aware of them as they're up. Maybe, are those gonna be on the school websites too? Just so parents can have.
I'm
Okay.
putting all the
Okay.
addendums that contain much of this evolving information at the back end of the plan, so that will continue to be updated, so all the addendums will be there, and that's where that guidance comes out from the state.
Tracy, are you putting in easy to read bite-size bits instead of like long hard to read?
I can do that. I can
you
also
do that?
summarize, yes.
Can you summarize? Because I think that parents are having a hard time navigating through the verbiage of it all, because it's just really, it's lengthy. And I think the bullet points and the summaries are much easier for them to not get overwhelmed, because I read the 67-page plan because it's my job, but it took me a really long time.
Every school has a condensed version. All of your condensed versions are online, correct?
Yeah.
Everyone is online. So let the parents know that they don't have to read the 65 pages.
Yeah.
Go to the link for just your school, and it's
Okay, so
the skinny
if they go
version.
straight to your school,
Yeah.
you'll get a skinny version.
You'll get a skinny version.
Okay. Also,
Yeah.
Bruce, some people are having a hard time accessing their Power School. Who should they contact? Okay, so contact Bruce Williams if you're having a hard time accessing Power School.
We sent a memo out today, Bruce. A memo went today. Tracy, you done so I can, or are you still going?
I can be done.
Tracy's done.
You got it closed.
So,
Okay,
you're gonna
moving
come
it
back
out.
up in a second, so
Okay.
don't get comfortable. So, Mr. Williams did send a school-wide update for Power School that the portal will be open, and that was going today, Mr. Williams? That went this morning. So any questions or problems as you get into the portal,
Okay.
you can email bwilliams@northbranfordschools.org, and he will respond and he'll test your account. Okay? I'm gonna segue.
Yep.
Is that a strong yes or a?
Yes.
Good. Authority to hire. In front of you, you have a list of faculty members that we have hired, and their step placement is at the right-hand side. Their university where they attended is in the center column, and where they are going is to the left of that. As you are aware, we filled 2 school psychologists. There were several other positions. We had a couple of retirements at the end of the year. Some of our staff had the years in for retirement and decided with everything going on and the changes that this would be the time for them to retire. So we have filled everything. At the bottom, we have some transfers from building to building, which we also have replaced. So we are, at this point, we are staffed. We are still working through accommodations for leaves with COVID. So what we're doing is we are centralizing all of the requests here. I've only received 1 in writing at this point. I'm expecting a few more, and then we are going to sit and evaluate and use the document from the state of Connecticut with advice from our legal person, just to make sure that we are giving the right information and doing the right thing with every request. So I will keep you apprised of that over the next 2 weeks. I'll send out an email and let you know where we're at with that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat part of that? I was answering questions. And I didn't hear the first part. I'm multitasking.
So aside from the new hires and the transfers,
Yep.
we're also looking at any requests for leaves that fit the criteria from FMLA.
Okay.
And there's a number of checkpoints that have to be met in order to access either paid leave or
Okay.
extended FMLA. We are going to warehouse all of them here at central office.
Okay.
There's a few of us that will review them, but we're also going to bring in our legal consultant just to look at before we send something out. We want to make sure that we are doing right by following the law
Okay.
and that.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
It was mentioned to me that, I mean, this is all educational staff, janitors, custodial, that you hired for to do.
Sanitizers.
But that they're down to.
So we had a retirement come in over the summer, and we're looking at potentially replacing one of the retirements. The sanitizers are not going to do custodial.
Right, I understand that.
So we're looking at all of our buildings and our ability, if we were to stay with the hiring of one and not hiring another, what it would look like, and our ability to clean the buildings. So we have the sanitizers coming in.
Right.
We have our set staff taking central office out of it for right now. We're dropping our second shift down from 11 to 7 because we're closing all the buildings at 5. So during the day, there will be either 3 or 4 people in the buildings, either sanitizing or cleaning.
Right, but all they're doing is sanitizing, they're not doing any custodial work.
Right, spraying and
Hopefully, they are vacuuming rather than mopping because the dust just goes in the air, which takes more time. So should we really need the two?
We're in the middle of
we're-
unions negotiations
we're
with the
negotiating.
custodians, so I don't really think we should talk about it.
No, it's okay. It's a very good question. So we know square footage and personnel, and I know that our administrative team has sent directives out for our day custodians. So their roles are changing dramatically. It's all within, union contractual language for what they're going to be doing. So there's going to be a lot more done during the day with our day people, and then with the guys coming in earlier, we'll have triple what we usually have there, doing cleaning and taking care of those things. The sanitizers are going to hit flat areas, doorways, chairs,
But
windows.
that's all they're doing is
That's all they're doing.
sanitizing.
But that takes it away from the other 3 in the building who are doing bathrooms and vacuuming and things like that. So, and that's, important that people understand. At the end of the school day, it's the end of the school day, and we are going to be exiting the buildings and starting our deep cleaning in the evenings. Okay? Any questions on the authority to hire?
No, hang on. Bruce, can you send out the Power School login information again? There's a lot of question about it, that it's not working, the app's not working, various things aren't working, but if you send it out again and then maybe have your contact information, that would be great, because then they can.
I'm already getting emails.
Good.
Bruce, I'm sure you're glad I gave out your email address.
That's
Fast. All right, good. All
Be
right.
careful what you
Okay.
wish for.
All right.
All right, so
Sorry.
authority to hire, we're clear?
Yeah.
Everybody's good? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll briefly go through the new teacher orientation, and then we'll.
Are you giving us the orientation?
No, I am not.
You don't have to move, it's very quick. So the new teacher orientation will be at the end of next week.
Teacher orientation's gonna be at the end of next week.
The new teacher orientation.
New teacher.
Orientation will be at the end of next week. There'll be a combination of presentations from myself, Bruce Williams, special education, Martha
Martha.
Vaughn. Oh, yeah, do a presentation. And then we will enable those teachers to go visit their buildings to see their administrators. So that's, and we will
Okay.
provide you with the date. I'm looking to make sure it's a date where we have enough room, because I would rather do it in person, have those people come here, get their IDs, than to do it virtually.
Yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be is more in person, if you could have the distance and the safety precautions met. Okay.
Okay. Any questions on new teacher orientation? All right. Moving right along, pending request. I mentioned before that working with the town that 2,000 cloth masks were donated. We're looking to do another mask giveaway for the town. That will be probably the last weekend in August. We'll get that date out. It'll come out through the town, but just I want everyone to be aware that there's going to be another mask giveaway, free mask giveaway at NBIS, similar to the one that they did prior. I've been working,
We did a mask giveaway already?
the town did,
Yeah, the town.
fire department and the town.
Oh, yeah,
The town
I'm sorry,
did,
yeah,
the town
yes, okay.
Right.
But they're all one size, they're like adult size,
Right.
they're not gonna be for the little kids.
Right.
Okay.
So another
Sorry.
giveaway is
Time
coming.
is-
No, yeah, no, I remember that now, I'm getting confused because I thought cloth masks.
Yeah,
I
no.
know.
Sure.
Sorry.
That's okay. And then we are I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
That's all right, no, mask giveaways.
Mask giveaway.
And, on Thursdays, we have our weekly emergency preparation meeting with the fire chief, police chief, fire marshal, myself, East Shore Health, and the town manager. So we continue to share updates and talk about procedures and protocols with what the district is doing, what's happening with the police department, the fire, emergency. So what we're doing now is we're going to be coordinating efforts with our emergency response teams for when they have to come into a school, if it is either COVID related or non-COVID related, what that would look like. So we are going to meet probably next week and just walk through all of the procedures and things to keep everyone safe, our first responders, our students, our nurses, our administrators, and how that would look. Okay? So that's been ongoing. That's it really for updates with that piece. Any questions with that? You know that we're going to have nurse monitors that are going to sit in an isolation room in every building. So there'll be a separation, and that nurse monitor will also be assisting with data collection for tracing, and we're going to do a training with East Shore Health next week as well. So the school nurse is not going to be pulled to go and do contact tracing, because she's obviously going to be busy with all of the other things, the myriad of things that happen during the day. This person will be there to assist with not only monitoring the students, but if there's downtime, using the computer and the phone to help with contact tracing.
Did I read something from Lamont that, something about taking the security people out of the schools?
That was from one of our senators. It wasn't from Lamont. It was looking to, I don't want to say any names. That's all right. But so we'll make it very clear. North Branford is not looking to remove any security. I may come back to you we're going to get through the first week and see what it looks like with traffic flows and patterns and everything else. We know that we're already going to see an increase in the number of vehicles coming onto the school grounds, and there's going to be a lot of transitioning. There's going to be a lot of emotion. I do want to potentially, at the September board meeting, if we were to increase a part-time possible position or an hour for our security person, our part-time people to assist with trafficking and things within the school, but I just want to play that out. So our security is not going away. I'd like to have a conversation potentially if we could make it happen with having another set of eyes during drop-off and pick-up and what that would look like.
Hey, Scott?
Yes?
A couple of years ago, if you remember, the town council said that if you came to them with an approval for another person for security part-time, they wouldn't go along with it. This would be an opportune time for the board that take advantage of that promise that they made to us a couple of years ago. You remember that, Scott?
I do. I remember it clearly, and that's something that I will have in the discussion. I want to get into the first couple of weeks and then really see it and what it looks like. We're going to be accessing, and I don't want anyone to panic. We're going to use a drone, and we're going to hover over drop-offs at every building, and we're going to evaluate and analyze what it looks like, how we can do it more efficiently, and then if we need a little more personnel. No license plates, anything will be accessed, trust me. We're going to be high enough in the sky just to look at all the traffic patterns. You have to be very careful. People get nervous, obviously, when they hear that. We're not tracking speed or anything else. Okay.
Quick question. Are
yes.
kids going to be able to use their lockers?
No, we're not using lockers. We're backpack travel.
At any grade level?
At any grade level.
I think they should access their buildings for those types of questions.
Okay.
So the high school and the middle school are not using lockers, and I believe the younger schools are, but it's outlined in your school plan, which is on the school website.
Jerome has lockers? No. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, Jerome
Am I missing something here?
Jerome does not have lockers. They have cubbies, and I don't know if cubbies count as a locker, but it's in your school
We're not taking
plan.
away their cubbies, I hope. They're keeping their cubbies?
We're spreading them out.
Spreading out their cubbies. Okay. All right.
So little kids don't have.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
Okay, we've updated the town manager renovation project. I'm gonna go to whoever would like to update for
Beth, can you come over here? I'll get up. Hang on.
Okay, so we had a meeting this past week. We did do a tour of the high school and generated a list of things that had to be done to renovate as new. Working on getting some costs for that. The next meeting, we're looking at the new high school, again, getting some other costs, placement of the new building, looking at possibly, we need to talk to the state, so we need to get a meeting with the state so that we could talk to them about where we could place the building. I know Rusty's QA and whatever it is came up with one, but we looked at other sites and the possibility that the gymnasium, the large gymnasium, is very large, accommodates 850 people. The one in the new school that's proposed is much, much smaller. So the possibility that if we could keep that gym, build a new building, and just have a walk across over to it, it would also be able to isolate it, which is one of the problems in the building we have, that you weren't able to isolate any incoming people from going to other parts of the building. So those are just some things that we've talked about, but we're going to generate questions for Build is New so we can talk to the state person, and I'm not sure when that meeting's supposed to, you're working on it supposedly?
I can update you on all of that.
Okay. So, yeah, we need that information because we'd like to meet with the state.
So do you want me to update now? It's perfect segue. We were supposed to have a meeting with the director of construction, Costas, who couldn't make it. So he had 2 assistants, and we were notified on short notice, so we had a meeting this morning.
Okay.
I spoke with the chair of the committee, Mr. Al Rose, last evening and this morning, and he had a series of questions that I gave to the state and to Rusty, who was there. I had the fire marshal there. I had John Florio. I had another member of your committee, Bill Chody. And the 2 people just walked and looked at all of the things that were presented in the feasibility study and the questions that had come up. So they were taking that information back, but they got a chance to see the entire building and the site. So the director of buildings and grounds from the state may come back down. I don't know. They were going off to talk and then see what was going to happen from there.
So then Al was able to talk to the state today?
He talked with me, and I took his questions,
okay.
and I gave those to the people from the state.
Okay.
So I was crystal clear on what he had for questions, and there are some of the scenarios that you asked, and then they were going to write everything up and get it back to us.
Okay. How long will that take?
With the state of Connecticut, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll call them next week and ask them for a timeline. I'll give them until next Wednesday, and then I'll see where they're at. They're stretched right now because of the updates with COVID. A lot of them are out doing site assessments for ventilation in buildings because that's the common theme that a lot of schools are in, so they're calling them in and they're scattered. We were very lucky to get these 2 down on short notice, and we were waiting for the director, but he's out doing other things.
So Scott, will they come back to me with that?
I think they will.
We all wanted to
Mike-
meet directly with the state.
Mike Paulus was going to reach out to them and try to do something where they could come down and meet with you. He also was going to talk with Rusty. I think that was something you wanted to do too. So Rusty was going to try to coordinate it and do it all together.
Yeah, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of questions. And
Yeah.
that's like a big onion.
Yeah. So that's in the works right now, and I'll wait until Wednesday, and then I'll look for some feedback on timelines and then their ability to get down with Rusty to do their presentation and meet with you.
Yeah, because I think that ad hoc committee definitely needs to meet with the state.
Yeah,
There's
we're meeting
so
on
many
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you
It'd
could.
be nice to have the meeting for Tuesday.
I wouldn't hold my breath on
Yeah.
Tuesday. But
Okay.
you were lucky.
All right, thank
So,
you.
Maybe
all right.
not Tuesday.
I've worked with, I don't want to say. Okay, next up we have negotiations. And that's, do you want to come over here and I'll go back over there?
So on September 1st, the state minimum wage will change from $11 an hour up to $12 an hour. I made a, hopefully an easy to read spreadsheet for you. Kind of looks like this. So all the way over to the left are the hourly rates that were in effect for 1920. In the middle is the position, and over to the right is the new proposed hourly rate for these positions. If there is a dollar amount in red, that indicates a change. If the dollar amount is in black, that indicates no change. And if it's highlighted in pink, we're requesting a lower rate just to fall in line with a contract that's already in place. So, I don't know if you want to look at these, or do you want me to walk you through them? How would you like me to?
Self-explanatory.
Okay, all right. So you notice what I tried to do is come up with an approximate hourly rate for those positions that have in the past been paid more of at a daily rate. And what we did was we increased up to the minimum wage, or if it was something like a building sub, we tried to increase it a little bit more to keep that separation from what it was before. The rates at the bottom for long-term sub, for step 1 masters and step 1 bachelors, those are rates directly out of the teacher's contract. So I just wanted to show you that those are changing as well.
So, question.
Sure.
For a teacher sub, she's gone from $75 a day to $88.81.
Right, so currently if a teacher sub was paid $75 a day, if you take the approximate 7.25 hours that a teacher works during the day, that equates to $10.34, which is below the minimum wage as of September 1st. So that's why I upped it to $12.25. And then when you do the math out, it's an approximate $88.81 a day. Those employees do keep time cards, so they will be paid for the number of hours they work. They're not actually paid at a daily rate.
And we're trying to increase, we were looking to increase our sub pay to be more attractive to get a better pool.
Yeah, I've always agreed with that.
Yeah.
My question is, when I look at the para sub, which originally is $9.86 and $10.34 for a sub, approximately 50 cents, but you only went up 25 cents for the sub, teacher sub.
It was just my,
Okay.
I mean, if you want to change that, it's completely up to you. I just tried to keep the balance that was there.
Yeah, I understand that. I just know that to get quality subs in and what a sub has to do during the day, not to put down pairs, I know they do a fantastic job, but before there was a difference of about 50 cents, but now it's only 25 cents. I didn't know if we should maybe go up to 50 cents. Maybe, what would that push it to, maybe $90 a day? I don't know.
Well, I actually think the fact that we pay subs $12 an hour, a para sub, and a building sub $13 an hour that are working with students, and we pay a custodian sub $15 an hour, a little out of balance as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we balance it against and around surrounding towns of what they're paying for that, and we try to level it so we're at least competitive, and this is what we...
I don't think that's, you're saying that, you think.
No, I understand
Oh,
completely.
okay.
I'm just saying our rationale, and I know what you're saying, that maybe, shouldn't they all get 15, but it would be, we're not able to absorb that right now
Okay.
with the budget. This is something that, you know, we
So
have to
slowly-
do,
slowly
but
trying
we're
to-
slowly trying to catch this up and level those two.
But
And
is
just so you know, minimum
Wage
wage
is
will
going up
increase
again.
again,
September 1st.
August 1st of next year.
August.
So when we do
13.
our budget
Yes.
meetings, which are gonna creep up on us before we know it.
This will-
Can you bring this?
I sure
Because
can.
this is a really nice view for us to see it without all of the other
Mm-hmm.
pieces in it, and it's much more glaring. So if you brought this to the meeting, and then we could talk about how we wanna adjust the budget or where our priorities lie,
Sure.
I think this would be a good
That's a really
tool.
good idea.
Right.
the
So it's gonna go up again.
Because our next
Minimum
budget,
wage.
like you said, is going to be up to $13 an hour for minimum wage.
Next
Yeah,
August.
so we're
Yes.
gonna wanna plan for that, but we're also gonna wanna look at, okay, where do we have to boost a little higher?
Right,
Where do we wanna hold tight, you know? And those are gonna be big decisions. Plus, after a year of COVID, we've gotta know
We
where
may
our
change,
budget
right.
sits, like what grants we need. Trace, sorry. You know, are we going into another school year
Figure that out,
of
Trace. You know, there's some
plexiglass?
certainties.
I don't know.
Right.
Right.
Sorry,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
just
I
trying,
just can't hear.
I'm just looking at all the options.
So the weight room and the custodial, are those contractual? It doesn't say it. How did they get up to the $15 an hour?
They're not contractual. The weight room has been that for years. We just moved custodial up, I think, a year ago because we were having a tough time getting subs.
Right.
So the weight room one has been flat for years.
But we also have a tough time getting qualified teachers.
So we're gonna address this.
Yeah,
in the
we'll-
finance meeting, in the budget meeting, Ben. We're gonna
Okay.
hold on to it,
Right.
stick it on your fridge.
But they are getting a raise, and it is better, it's more attractive. It's gonna go up again in August, so there's another little carrot out there to get us
Yeah.
closer to that number.
Yeah, like we have to be good to our staff.
So are these okay then
Yeah,
to go forward with?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you need to vote on it or just a consensus? I'm okay
That's
with
up to
it.
you. If you want to vote on it, that would be fine with me.
I'm not sure we really have a choice in it, honestly. I mean, we've
Well,
already had our
it's
budget
mandated.
meeting. That's what I'm saying, it's a mandate. We don't have a choice in it.
Right.
A vote implies there's a choice of a yes or a no. So,
Well, I just meant the specific rates that were there, yeah.
I mean, with it just landing in my lap and not saying how it impacts the budget, I couldn't make an intelligent vote.
Okay.
We really don't need
I mean,
to. We don't need to.
And it's not significant enough that it's gonna like sink the budget.
No.
But if we sway and make things, more equitable, we could sink the budget. So there's not much choice.
Okay.
Okay,
But I mean, again, we have to really take a good peek at this.
thank you.
Yeah,
You have a copy?
yeah.
What we're not understanding is these particular positions have to be bumped up to a minimum of $12 an hour, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be profound to say, let's make a motion to table the vote until next month so that we have an understanding of what we want to do and its effect on how it's going to affect our budget?
Well, we can't vote on it, Vince. It implies we have a choice, and we don't have a choice. We have to bump it up into $12. It's state mandate.
non-compliant.
Or we're non-compliant. So it implies we would have a choice, so we can't vote no. We have no choice but to vote yes.
Well, I guess what I'm seeing is, let's say the building sub, approximately 7.25 hours a day, $11.72 an hour is being bumped up to $13 an hour. Now, who made that decision to go up to $13 an hour?
So, Martha,
So did Martha just made an explanation on it? So she was saying she was trying to do it proportionally to keep everybody within the same proportion going down. And so what we were saying is, hey, some of it looks a little bit off to us, so we're gonna have to look in our next budget meeting when they roll around in our budget workshops. And I was saying, this is a really great tool for us to look at because it gives us like a snippet in time and of all the positions that are subs so that we can see who might need a little bit more of a boost as we redo our budget. But now our hands are kind of tied because it's a state mandate, but we know another one's coming in August, so we'll be prepared for it and probably build it right in from June 1, or July 1.
Thank you, so I couldn't hear Martha because kind of a muffled. Because
Yeah.
Most of the microphone, okay?
No problem.
Okay, if there's no questions, we're going to move on to the subcommittee meeting dates that were submitted under Exhibit B, if you want to take a quick glance at those. And if you are in agreement with them, we'll need a motion to adopt those dates.
I make a motion to approve the 2021 curriculum instruction strategic plan subcommittee meeting dates as submitted. Second.
Carolyn Candelora made a motion to approve the 2021 Curriculum Instruction and Strategic Planning Subcommittee meeting dates as submitted. Jana Balsama seconded it. Is that another word? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Seconded. Okay. No, it's Jana.
Jana did.
I think you were going to,
I was
I
going
beat you
to,
by a hair.
They were fighting over the
Yeah, you
second.
said-
Oh,
Okay.
pension did have a meeting.
We did have a meeting.
Yeah, we went to the meeting, right?
Pension did have a meeting. There were a few requests to start their pension, and essentially it's saying the investments are doing okay, and the suggestion is to hang tight until this COVID is over for the market, for the investments.
Martha, our employees are in the pension? I thought it was a 401k,
401A,
401a,
yes.
but it's not a pension.
They refer to it as a, I'm not sure the meeting that you went to, but the 401A is a retirement savings vehicle that the employee could, you know,
Right, but that's different than a pension.
The pension committee though is also for the town employees.
It's the
But there's
defined pension.
Who's in that?
It's the defined pension for employees that are from old employees of the district that are on that pension.
There's
we
some that
only
are
have
still
two.
here.
We have two. That's
have
my
two.
question. I remember, okay, so we still have two people on it. We need to keep our finger on that because when we no longer have those two people on it, Beth doesn't need to sit on it anymore.
I think they still need a board member.
Yes.
If it doesn't
It's-
apply to
it's
us at all?
structured Because it's town employees too, so it's
No,
structured.
what I'm saying, when we have no Board of Ed employees participating in it or retired Board of Ed employees anticipating it, we should not have a seat at the table because it no longer pertains to us. Right now, we have two employees, that's why Bess has the seat at the table. When we have 0 employees in the pension, we should not have a seat at that table. It's inappropriate. We have no skin in the game.
Yeah, I don't know how it's
Yeah.
structured
ones
through the
that
charter.
Apply for pension for teachers. They were other staff in the school.
But you can't apply for pension. You could have a 401a, but
Well,
you
they
can't.
satisfy.
But it's old
Yeah.
people that were grandfathered in.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying, but we only have
Started years
two.
ago.
We have two.
That are in it now, but does say people that applied for it are,
Well, they had like 35 years in the
Yes.
system. so-
Right.
Well, I think.
That's
we
an
need to
easy
keep
one
it
to
fair.
ask.
Can you,
Right.
Martha,
we
let's
only
just.
have 2 active employees that are currently.
But after those two aren't here, do they still need a board member representative?
I'll have to find that out.
Yeah, can you
Right.
find
Speak
that out,
with
it.
follow it up? Just because, I mean,
That would have made this week easy. I 4 meetings this
well,
week.
Beth, I'm trying to be respectful of your time and,
Okay.
and all of the other needs of the board, so if, I mean,
Okay.
2 people you have to still represent, but if there's no people, you don't,
If you
right?
want me to go, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I want to.
No, you do filled in for me, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
I couldn't make that.
Okay, let's proceed.
Okay. Moving along, policy. Did everyone receive their policies?
Yes, thank you,
What about by
Scott.
mail? Have they come yet?
Today, I
got
got
mine
today.
today,
I got
too.
mine today.
I got
One.
mine
I didn't get the policies.
2
I just-
o'clock for me.
I got the packets in the mail today.
I just got
They came
this.
separately.
Oh, I didn't
I
get the
didn't
other
get the,
one.
I didn't get the policies.
Well, what do you mean?
I got
All I
two
got-
envelopes.
I just got this.
Scott's
I got the
delivered
one.
Right.
the big one,
So you
and
got
then I
it.
got this little one.
The board packet,
The
the
board
original
packet.
board
I
packet.
stayed up
got
all
two
night
today.
and read it. I was so proud of myself.
Oh, did this not?
It was a lot
Word
to
to
do.
word.
I
know.
mail. I thought it was my mail.
No, I delivered it.
thought, oh.
No,
okay.
Scott did it for
It's
somebody.
very quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, he snuck it in there.
You're like Santa Claus.
So, I was,
This is a Santa for me.
Cindy had mailers and I was trying to jam it in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm tampering with federal property here. I didn't look at your mail, Cindy. So really, I think the memorandum that was attached to it, if you read through that, it
Yeah.
really gave a quick down and dirty overview of the phone book policy. So basically what this is doing,
Literally.
it's examining our existing policies and regulations and accounting for temporary changes as we move forward. If you read that, you'll see what it speaks to. For rules for students and staff as we adhere to compliance with what the state is now asking us to do. Now, there were a number of different things. If you look through and you had a chance to read through anything from attendance truancy and absenteeism to student discipline and expulsion, transportation, health assessments, use of the internet, all of these things are now changing in the short term. We just have to have the language to accommodate that. So
Right.
what they did was they went through using our policies and they adopted with the language that has to be in there and married them together. We really have to have them to start the school year
Yeah.
because it's important.
We all read them.
Okay.
I just had a question that's kind of separate from this
Okay.
that I wanted to bring. I could be wrong, but I just wanted to bring it to the attention because I read it all. It was on Series 700C19, the Business and Finance, the Green Cleaning Program. I just had a question on this because I saw on Facebook that somebody went by the guidelines of what the children needed for school. Now, nothing's changed, but I just had a question. So somebody put down that one of the teachers asked for Lysol wipes. And if you look at number 4, and I'm asking for clarification for that, it says the statement, no parent, guardian, teacher, or staff member may bring into school facility any consumer product which is intended to clean, deodorize, sanitize, or disinfect.
Right, so
can you
no student should bring in any cleaning materials, wipes, or anything.
Okay.
So what we have done is we have a state list of guidelines of things that we can use, and we have purchased thousands of pounds of acceptable cleaning products.
Yeah.
So teachers are going to have in their classroom acceptable spray bottles and wipes for their use.
Now, how do you know that they're acceptable, if you don't mind me asking?
No, they're certified by the state of Connecticut. So everything
okay.
we're purchasing
Yeah.
is based upon content of if it's alcohol in hand sanitizer, 60% or higher. If it's, we're using peroxide in the evening. We're not using anything that could be harmful. It dries on contact overnight when no one's there. So we're taking extra measures to make sure that we're not putting anything out there that could be harmful to children or staff.
Okay.
So we have a whole list that was given to us by the state, and we're just abiding by everything on it.
Are we able to look at that list? Like,
Oh,
is
absolutely.
Do you know what website it's under?
It's in one of the state addendums, I think, for cleaning. I don't know if somebody
The website is.
can Google it,
Tracy, I bet you have it at your fingertips.
if you want to Google it. But we can get you the site, and
Okay.
it's a whole listing.
It's actually in the plan,
That's-
under CDC cleaning
I
guidelines.
knew you had it at your
Okay.
fingertips. It's in the.
So we're looking at a plan for the school.
I knew you had it at your fingertips. You thought I was being fresh.
Or it's a state link that we just mirrored. So
Okay.
it's easier to probably go to.
And there'll be sanitizers in the classroom.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's going to be a bottle
Bottle?
that will be filled by our sanitation experts. There's going to be wipes with a teacher who will oversee if it's desktop or furniture to clean and wipe. Students are not going to be spraying or anything like that. We're keeping all of that away from kids. Hand sanitizer will meet all code. Our no-touch hand sanitizers are the same thing. Purell is on in every classroom and outside of every bathroom. So everything meets code per se, but it's not green. They've given us the ability to ramp up products
So
during this
it'll
time.
actually kill
It will
bacteria?
actually work.
Yeah. Okay, and will sanitizers be used entering and exiting the rooms as protocol referencing the high school students?
Yes, so the sanitizers are going to have schedules, and they're going to be walking literally
Okay.
for 7 hours a day. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be carrying the ionizing guns that have chlorine tablets. We're going to actually put peroxide tablets in these. So they'll be going and hitting doorknobs in between all the classes, between every switch of a class. the rooms, the teachers will spray surfaces, any touch points, so it's gonna be ongoing cycle throughout the day
Will
for
rooms
cleaning.
with sinks be provided with a supply of hand soap?
So every classroom that has a hand wash station sink will have soap and paper towels. No air dryers will be used. They'll all be disconnected.
Okay.
So yes. Any other?
Yeah, all right. I don't know how pertinent this is right now, but.
That's all right.
On Series 2000 C19 personnel, it lists that this entire policy is a temporary policy effective April 1 through December 31. But I read somewhere else that some of them went to June 30th. And
Yeah.
I didn't know if, all the other ones just say temporary amendments, but they don't have a time frame. And I didn't know if we needed to put the time frame in all these other ones that, I mean, just the wording. Because they all say temporary amendments, but do we need to put the
The
effective?
time.
Some of them had a date and some of them did not.
Right.
The
A lot of them
two
do not.
motions state until June 30th, 21.
And then there was one
Which
for
one's June?
December.
And then the first one is for the start of the school year, and it doesn't give an ending date.
Okay, but the Families First Response Act policy only goes to the 31st. of
So
December.
that's from FMLA, and that's the timeline that they can take out if they are approved, that would run through X amount of weeks of, the first 2 weeks, they get a percentile, and then they get an additional 10 weeks. That would run out until that date.
All right.
And then they either,
So that's.
Yeah, that's that
It
date.
only goes to December, and then they might extend it from December.
they may, or they may say you have to make a decision to come back or not.
Depending on what.
On what, yeah.
But the other ones that say temporary amendments, do we need, in that first paragraph, do we need a time frame in there or not?
No, I think it's covered until June 30th, 2021 in our motion. And then we have the ability, if we want to change any of these policies prior to that, we can come back in. We can have the policy committee examine what we're not happy with, we don't like. We can adjust it, and then we just vote on it again. So you have the ability. You're not locked into this, but we need to start with the understanding that these are covered.
Another one I had for Series 1000 C19, the students, about health assessments and has all that, but on page 5, we still have for vision screening. We're not going to do that, right? Or are we obligated to do that?
Where are you?
Page 5 on 1000 C19, the students, page 1245. What's the? Health assessments. Health assessments. So we have all the temporary ones, and that, the wellness, the kids have to get the appointments with the doctor, whatever. But we still have in there the screenings, and I'm thinking that we're probably not doing like the vision screenings or the hearing screenings.
Are you doing vision and hearing by your nurses? No.
I haven't asked that specifically.
I haven't
But I don't think so.
No. So we're not doing that.
All right, so I didn't know if that needs to be somehow, just because you address the oral health, we don't do it, just suggested, but it's in there for required screenings, and we're not going to be doing it, so do we need to put something in there for temporary suspended for this year? I'm just,
Right, that's a good point. That's a really good
I
point.
mean, we don't do it.
because if someone says, well, it's in there, you're gonna screen my kids for vision, I don't have to.
We do do it.
Normally.
Normally, but are you gonna do it this year?
So it should say
so
suspended in the
it-
policy.
So it's right there if it says it's suspended, because we do it, but we're not gonna do it with this COVID period.
Where does it say it's suspended? Did I miss that?
Oh, I thought that's what you were.
No, she's
I don't have
not-
it in
she's
front of me.
not- say
She's saying it
Oh.
should say
Should say that
suspended.
it's suspended
Suspended.
for this year.
Right, because
But I don't
you're
see
not
it.
doing hearing and.
And vision.
I mean, I haven't asked any of that specifically. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think she would say it's a good idea.
To do it, right.
I don't think we should do it
Most
either.
typically do.
Right.
Every other year.
Right.
Wait, but does the one on?
So-
It's saying suspended makes sense.
Yeah, I'm saying, I don't think we
It's not
should.
saying
So
suspended.
let's,
Got it.
Yeah, I don't think we should, but I'm worried that someone
But
might
why don't we
say,
do
my
this?
kids
Let's-
have vision, and you're supposed to be
Do we
doing
do
it.
vision every year?
Every other.
So is this
Every
year?
other.
Every other student.
All right, so let's do this.
This is all here, or this is on here?
Let's just change in the motion that we're gonna suspend mental
I
health
would say
assessments,
suspension, temporary suspension.
vision and hearing in the motion, with the exception of we're gonna suspend
Well, rather than locking
vision,
yourself in, can't you just say may not be done this
Vision
year?
and health.
But so I got a stupid question. Does the highlighted thing already explain that?
Could that still be a requirement though? It might be written that way because we still.
Like, there's the highlighted thing,
I thought it was a state requirement, like unless the state says.
it says to request the assessment in either grade, boards that previously set the screening requirement.
You have to do it.
So
So
let's
that's
leave it-
separate than a
leave it.
screening
Then we can
requirement?
All right.
It's better to.
You see what
That's how I
and
found
then
people
we
that
can-
needed glasses.
So yeah,
We're
so
back-
the
'cause the
suggestion
attorney
is
said
this,
to-
we'll approve it now. Beth and
We'll
Carter,
find out.
can you find out if it's mandated that we have to do it or if we can suspend it? And then we'll
We can come visit.
revote.
We're gonna be back
we
here
need it,
September.
we need these policies to start
September,
school.
what, 18th?
Yeah.
So we go back to school. It would not have happened in that short period. If we need to amend and change it, we'll do it at that meeting.
All right, I know
No,
we're
it's
trying to
good.
adopt tonight,
And,
but I
and
just.
will you put on your policy tracker,
Just a note.
revisit, or, cause I know it might fall off my radar.
Now, Madam Chairperson, I come in here with everybody talking in the background, and I see on the chat other people having problems.
Well, I know, Vince, it's really challenging to hear on a Zoom meeting, especially when part of it's live. So hopefully next month we'll all be live, so it will be much easier to communicate. So what we were talking about is the policies that need to be put in place for school to start. Huh? Beth, what
The health
policy?
assessment.
12:45 for students' health.
1245, the student health assessment. So there's a, page 5, was it?
Page 5.
On page 5, it's about the vision, vision and hearing screening. So we're not,
Let me find 1245 first.
So let's walk you through it. Vince, what the question is, in the document,
The whole record, like 12 pages, which I got 1,000, I got 1,000, I got 2,000.
1,000 C19.
1,000, let me see. I got 9,200.
I know, there's a lot, I know, there's a ton of
getting
them.
warmer. So Vince, we're looking to approve all of the policies as is, and we are going to revisit the one on health assessments for hearing and vision testing. We're gonna get clarification. If we have to change it, we have a meeting in September. We're gonna come back and we'll amend and change the policy if we have to. If we find out from the author of this that you have to have it in there, we're good to go.
We're just not clear if it's a state mandate that we have to keep it in, or if that too is suspended because of COVID. So we just need to clarify it, but we need to have the policies to start school on the 8th. So it'll be a revisit in the September board meeting.
What's the motion?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's the motion.
What are the motions? We didn't make them yet, Vince.
They're listed in the board packet.
There's two motions in the board packet. The first one is going to give you ability to vote on and change these policies without the use of the second read. So you're saying that based on what you've seen when you received and read through these, you're going to adopt these. They are on a short term through the end of the school year. We do have the ability, stated in this document, to come back and make changes as necessary. And the one that we're going to look at is the hearing and vision test being mandatory during COVID.
So we're approving policy number 9,200.
9200 is a motion. You're gonna waive the one that states that you have to do a second read, because we're not bringing it back for a second read. We're doing it one time. So this motion identifies that you are accepting that and doing that this evening. The second motion is to adopt the policies that you have in accordance with what was recommended per the state of Connecticut, for requirements that we have to have. And this is for the school year, and then we will revisit.
All right, so let me hear the motion so I can see if I can agree with it.
So,
Tell him they're in the packet, he could read them quick.
In the board pack, you have the two motions.
page 3.
under committee reports on the bottom of the page. Page 3, third page.
I have that. I don't have a problem with that.
All right.
I can't find what we're talking about in 200 pages in a matter of like 2 minutes, with everybody's talking. Go ahead.
It wasn't in the big, these wrong.
All right, so we are going to revisit that one. We're going to do diligence and reach out and find out if that language is accurate. And then if we need to change it or decide to change it, then at the next meeting, which will only be a week into the new school year, we can adjust it.
We're allowed-
There will be no testing during that time, I guarantee you.
So we're allowed to, we don't have to do this to, I
No,
mean,
we
it sounds like
voted
we
in.
have.
We have
If
to
we wanna
vote it
change
tonight, and then-
We voted out.
Okay.
All right?
We could change it for next month if we have
The
to.
second part says until June 30th. My
Right.
question is, do we need to have that at the
I love
top of
COVID.
these, that it's only until June 30th?
No, we're covered. They wrote
So easy.
the
know.
motions for us, the legal team.
And I have one more. different one.
Hang on, I just want to make sure I'm here. So Beth is asking at the top of the temporary policies, not all of them have stated clearly until June 30th. And Scott's reply was that it's fine because it's implied by temporary
The packet
policy.
of policies.
And we are voting them in as a packet. And our motion will have until June 30th, 2021.
Temporarily replacing existing.
All right. It says to approve the packet of policies provided by legal counsel, temporarily replacing the existing North Branford Board of Education policies
Right.
until the 30th, 2021.
Right.
If you approve this motion, you can't revisit it in September.
No, we have the ability, and if you look at your packet, it clearly states that you can go back and look at these policies and you can align them if you want to make changes. You can go back and reopen it and do that. You have the authority of the board to change your policies.
Just tell me what part of the packet to go look at to find all of that, because I can't find all of that. I can't find all of that with all of this. However, the way I read this, you're only temporarily replacing the existing policy until January 30th. Where do we get the condition that we could revisit it in September and change it again if we want to? I don't need that in this motion.
It's not in the motion, it's in the language that came with the policies, that you have the ability.
Can we always revisit the policy?
Yeah, you can.
You don't have to, I mean, like any policy the board has, you can always revisit it. There's no rule that we can't go back.
No, sorry, Robert Rules of Order, unless you put a condition subsequent in there, can you revisit it? Once you pass, it's passed. And you lose the right to reconsider it if you don't put something in there now.
So Vince, go to the memorandum. If you look at the memorandum in the third paragraph, it states, will sunset after June 30th, 2021, unless the board or the administration, as appropriate, shortens or extends the term of any such policy or regulation through appropriate board or administrative action, which means you would come back and say, we want to shorten this or we want to lengthen it, and this is what it is.
And all I'm saying is, I'm going to amend that motion and say that we can do that, that's all. So that we're legally obligated to do this in September.
So we may modify or add to the packet during the school year if changes in any applicable laws, rules, and/or guidance necessitate such modifications and/or additions. So it's covered there in that third paragraph of your memorandum.
But he's saying it's
He
not
wants to
in
put
the
it in the
motion.
motion. He wants to put it in the motion.
Can we just add that to the motion?
Do we really
Read
want
the
to
whole
change the
paragraph.
motion that the legal team wrote up for us?
I mean, this is their.
I don't know that
I think we're covered here with the motions
At any time we can.
and with the memorandum, which states what we can do.
I'm truly not comfortable changing the motion that the legal team wrote.
Let's go ahead, he can abstain.
He can abstain or he could,
Oh, wait a minute, hold it, I got the number in.
All right, so third paragraph, it's the last three sentences.
What page?
First page, third paragraph of the memorandum.
The packet includes an introductory policy.
Say it again, Vince?
It says memorandum on the
The
top.
packet includes an introductory policy entitled Policy Concerning the Temporary Policy.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that paragraph.
Second sentence. Sunsets after June 30th.
Okay, and I agree with you.
Okay.
And it says clearly, unless the board or administration shortens or extends the term.
Right.
Now, we're going to revisit this here in September.
Yeah, it's shortening the terms
Right.
of the policy. We have the ability.
We have to specify that in this motion, that you're going to make, to revisit in September for a more permanent ruling.
Well,
I'm not,
we don't, but.
I'm truly not comfortable changing the motion the legal team wrote for
Or
us.
for extended term of any policy or regulation through the appropriate board or
Somebody
administrative
wants to
action.
make the motion.
You have to do the administrative action now, not after you already vote for it. You say, okay, we're going to extend it to June 2021.
We have to
call a
research, we have to do research to see if we're accurate or not with removing right now, as it reads, we're covered. We're saying with this question, we have to go back and see if the vision and hearing screening is mandatory or not.
We don't know.
That's why we're wanting to do it in 30 days.
So then, if it doesn't have to be in there, then we would come back at the next board meeting and we would, under policy, we would revisit that one policy and we would make a change to it.
That's not what the motion-
Because these policies can continuously change.
That's not what the motion says.
They can change. These can change. They're fluid. Then we would have to adopt as we go along. If something changes with attendance and truancy or discipline or any of those things, we have to change according to state statute or state regulation.
I think we're covered how it's written, because we are allowed to change any policy at any given time as a board. So I think we can move it to motion. Oh, Beth has another question.
All right, one day to read it, and I sat and I read them. Okay, 2000 C19 personnel
2000
2010.
C19,
Personnel 2010.
personnel 2010.
Employment and student teacher checks. Okay. All right, so
Employment and student teacher.
it says the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, DESPD. Is that open? I mean, we have new hires. Have they been checked, or are we on a list to get them checked?
So anyone that comes in, that's an essential employee. The sending colleges are pre-screening anyone that comes to us.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do, similar to all of our staff, anyone that is hired with, have you taken your temperature, or you feeling ill, or blah, 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 blah. So everyone will be vetted before coming
Yeah,
in.
but that's the fingerprints. I think the DESPP is for
Yeah,
fingerprints.
this is fingerprinting.
Fingerprinting.
And background checks.
Right.
There's already
That's
laws
what-
about that we handle, that are not gonna change.
Say that again?
So
For
DES,
interns, we already have a process that includes all that we follow the law, that is gonna be the same.
So
And
there
our-
are
and our new
people
employees have been
that are
fingerprinted, yes.
Oh, so
Yes,
Yes.
all of our interns have fingerprints and background checks prior to stepping in classrooms.
And our new hires,
Okay,
So
so
I'm asking about the new hires, though.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So it's
and
hard
what I do benefits.
for the audience to hear us when a lot of us are talking. So I'm going to try to translate so that they can understand the conversation, otherwise they hear muddle. So it's about fingerprinting and background checks of new teachers. And Beth's question was, with the circumstances, are we still able to get the fingerprints and the background checks for new staff? And the answer was yes, that's not changed. New staff still get fingerprinted and background checked.
And any student teachers or anyone coming in from universities, they're going through a medical clearance as well as the state background check.
Okay, but I'm just saying, the way it read,
Yeah.
it says it was unavailable and that it would come, and I
They
just.
said for a short period of time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't know if we were still able to do that or something we have to catch up. They can be
No,
working
we're
for a little
current
bit, we
now.
have to catch up.
What?
With our employees.
It's already.
We're all set.
We are
Yeah.
current. Beth was asking if we were current or if we were behind. We are current.
No, Middletown is doing it on demand.
Okay. All right.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion to approve waiving of policy P 9200, formulation, adoption, amendment, or deletion of board policy to accommodate the approval of temporary COVID-19 pandemic-related policies prior to the start of the 2020-2021 school year. I'll second.
Who seconded it? Seconded it? Okay, so Marcy made a motion to approve waiving of policy P9200, formulation, adoption, amendment, or deletion of board policy to accommodate the approval of temporary COVID-19 pandemic-related policies prior to the start of the 2020-2021 school year, and Carolyn Candelora seconded. Discussion? Okay. Can I have a roll call vote?
Sure. Chairman Papaholzer?
Yes.
Vice Chair Candelora?
Yes.
Secretary Sienna?
Yes.
Deanna Balsamo?
Yes.
Vincent Mace?
Yes.
Marcy Anafrio?
Yes.
Cynthia Rice?
Yes.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion to approve the packet of policies provided by legal counsel, temporarily replacing existing North Branford Board of Education policies until June 30, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, so Marcy Onofrio made a motion to approve the packet of policies provided by legal counsel, temporarily replacing existing North Branford Board of Education policies until June 30th, 2021, and Carolyn Candelora second. Discussion.
I have an amendment. I'd like to amend that motion to include that the Board of Ed will revisit this here motion in September 2021, so there's clarity and clarification as to exactly what we are doing.
So Marcy, I'm just going to ask you for guidance on this. Do we take a vote on both of those motions?
Take a vote on the amendment first.
Well, not all of us want that motion amended, so I need to know how to do it correctly. Mary or Marcy, you have
I'm explaining to you Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order is you vote on the amendment first, and then if the amendment is adopted, it becomes part of the motion. If it's defeated, then it doesn't become part of the motion. That's Robert's Rules of Order.
So then we vote on the amended.
Okay, so we'll vote on the amended. Roll call vote, please.
Chairman Papaholzer?
No.
Vice Chair Candelora?
No.
Was that a no?
No.
Secretary Sienna?
No.
Deanna Balsamo?
No.
Vincent Mace?
Yes.
Marcy Anafrio?
No.
Cynthia Rice?
I'm sorry, my computer now, I couldn't hear the.
I can't do that.
Okay. Vince, can you repeat the motion for Cindy?
The amendment to the motion was that we revisit the motion in September, at the September Board of Ed meeting, so that we have clarity and clarification as to exactly what we are voting on.
So now, Cindy, we all went through and voted, so you just have to vote on that piece.
She can
I think she might be offline, like her audio.
I don't even see.
I don't even see her. Oh, no, she's down there.
I see her, but
She's not muted. She's up, well, she's,
No, that's for Cindy.
she's not muted.
No, my internet is unstable, it keeps going in and out.
She could abstain.
do you want to abstain, Cindy, or do you want to
Yeah,
vote?
I'm gonna abstain because it's just horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the best thing for her to do is abstain.
Okay, Cindy's going to abstain on that.
And then we go back and vote on the original motion.
Okay. Now we're circling back, and we're voting on to approve the packet of policies provided by legal counsel, temporarily replacing existing North Branford Board of Education policies until June 30th, 2021. Mary, can we have a roll call vote?
I made the motion, Carolyn.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. This is like wonderful.
And this is on camera.
Chairman Papaholzer?
Yes.
Vice Chair Candelora?
Yes.
Secretary Sienna?
Yes.
Deanna Balsamo?
Yes.
Vincent Mace?
No.
Marcy Anafrio?
Yes.
Cynthia Rice?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. No, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it was a yes.
This is silly.
Okay. Vince, thank you for giving me some guidance on Robert's rules. I appreciate that, because I was really stuck there.
Anytime you need advice on Robert's Rules of Order, I've been doing it for 46 years.
Thank
Let me
you.
know.
Thank you. Okay, I want to ask a few questions before we move to the next one, because I don't want to forget, and I know we have a few more things to do. But are sanitizers in all classrooms?
Hand
Yeah.
sanitizer, not the guys.
No.
Sanitizers. I'm like,
Hand
I only got
sanitizer.
4.
Hand
Yes.
sanitizers are in all classrooms.
Yes.
Are students allowed to wear clear masks?
They have to wear face masks.
Right, but clear ones. They're making clear ones now.
Oh, they are?
Like you can see their
Yes.
smile.
If they're CDC approved, they're fine.
Okay, so if they're CDC approved, they can wear clear masks.
Right.
And are all the bathrooms at the high school opened now?
No, because they're going to, I don't want to answer for you, but I think they're going to, you have a way that you're monitoring so that you can control how many go in?
We're going to pilot an electronic system to monitor that. A few teachers will pilot to see if it's successful, we'll roll it out. Obviously, there'll be staff that's visible throughout the day. There'll be an increase to that in looking at bathrooms and hallways. Not every single available bathroom is open, but all the normal typical bathrooms, including the student labs and the auditorium, will be open. All student bathrooms have hand soap, paper towels in them, hand sanitizers on the way out as well, and the hand dryers, as Scott mentioned.
So the bathrooms are open, but the stalls aren't? Is that what you're saying?
Not all stalls are open.
Right, not all stalls,
So
but
there's
all the
separation.
bathrooms are available.
All bathrooms are open.
And they're gonna be monitored by staff for
Yes.
the influx of students, so you can make sure they're distanced.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can't have 30
Tracing.
kids in the bathroom.
And
Right.
tracing.
I just wanna make sure I'm getting the spirit of the question answered, that's.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
We're staggering the passing times next, and hopefully that will also stagger.
help with the bathroom.
bathrooms.
Okay, so the staggering of the hall and passing time, it will also help with the volume in the bathroom and the flow in the bathroom. Okay. That was all the questions I had at this point.
Okay.
ACES did have a meeting. It
Okay.
says no meeting in here, but ACES did have a meeting. We
Okay.
normally don't have a meeting in August, but they presented what they're doing for back to school. So they're doing in school, and they're doing a hybrid version depending on the level of their school. And they're doing, they're actually having health services so that a lot of the teachers' children can go to them to get checked. So that's something new that they're doing for COVID. And, you know, the same issues we're dealing with, they just went over also. So that's just
Okay.
a little bit of, you know, what was going on.
No building committee, no communications committee. Can we do visitors and press and go to the board, and then we'll adjourn to executive session? So if there's any more questions for visitors and press, you send them through now and I'll ask. I think I've asked everything that's already been put out there, but if I've missed something, throw it back out at me. Okay, we don't have anything now. I think we got everything so far. Okay, go to the board. It's been quiet.
Yeah, well, I watched the video from Jerome, and my son said, shut it off, because he didn't want to hear the song again, because I kept singing it to him. There was a little song about wearing a mask, and he did not appreciate it, my singing. So I've been banned from singing the mask song. So, but that was excellent, and looking forward to sending him. So excited. Thank you.
And all I was gonna say is, I wanna thank everybody, our staff, everybody. They have worked so hard this summer. This was something that nobody ever expected from, you know, the teachers doing the best that they can from home, and the paras, and the custodial staff, and the administrators, and, you know, the people that worked all summer to get meals together for the kids, and, I mean, everybody. They worked so hard to pull this all off, to get everybody through this. I mean, thank you to all of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I think end of the year should be, for kids and staff, I survived.
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be in the history books.
Okay.
For sure.
So before we're going to return to executive session, I just want to echo what everyone has said here about the COVID team. And as you know, we've done the live shows, and Dr. Welch has been handling a lot of the questions about safety and wellness. Ms. Wooten has been handling everything with remote. And then all of the administrators have been putting their buildings together, working with their staff, working with students, working with families. So this has been a yeoman's effort to get ready, and I really feel good about September 8th. I really feel confident. I can't guarantee anything, none of us can, but I know that everyone has put 110% into meeting the requirements and doing everything possible that we can to keep our kids and our staff safe.
Agreed.
And that's a good feeling.
Agreed.
That's it for me.
Can I have a motion to,
You want to read the motion so that?
I can't
So
read.
you don't have to repeat it.
No,
Oh, you can make
you
a
have to
motion.
read for them, someone
I
can make
know.
it.
Just say, can I have a motion to, and read it, and then I'll say so moved.
Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session as per section 1225 of the Connecticut General Statutes as permitted by section 1200(6)(a) of the Connecticut General Statutes to discuss agenda item 4A, negotiations.
That's 9, not 4.
9, sorry, Vince, sorry.
And personnel.
Yeah.
Robert's rules or what?
No, it's just me not knowing Roman numerals.
Shauna, and personnel. And personnel, the one that I amended.
And personnel, negotiations and personnel.
So moved.
You need a second?
Yes,
I'll second.
okay. Here
All
we
in
go.
favor? All in favor? Aye.
Good one, Marcy.
What about us? What about us?
Are you gonna let them back in or no?
They're in.
Oh, they're in already.
They're still in there. They never left.
Okay.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve a one-year leave of Ms. Caitlin Pierce, NBIS guidance counselor.
I'll second.
I can't hear it.
So Marcy made a motion to approve a one-year leave
Unpaid
for
leave.
Caitlin Pierce
Unpaid.
and unpaid, and Carolyn Candelora seconded the motion. Discussion.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, no problem. Mary, can we have a roll call vote? Sorry.
Chairman Papa
Yes.
Vice Chair Candelora.
Yes.
Secretary Sienna.
Yes.
Janet Balsamo.
Yes.
Vincent Mace.
Yes.
Marcy Nafrio.
Yes.
Cynthia Rice.
Yes.
And that's all we have to vote on. That's it.
Next
Next
board
regular
date?
meeting.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that, but I was just saying we don't need to vote on anything else. Okay.
Keep moving.
The next regular Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 17th, 2020. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, the end.
Thank you, everyone.
Shauna, you're not at the next meeting?